Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. Said I doing a recording of a playthrough of the Wholesome Monstergirl Academia demo. It's currently the demo. And upload that to YouTube here. I just do this as opposed to live stream it. So if you're wondering, oh no, I missed the stream. No, there's no stream of this. So just you're good. You're good. Who knows? Maybe there might be a stream of like when the whole thing gets released. You know, depending on how this goes. But I do this live largely, other than some stuff. This is pretty much a blind playthrough. Largely, I seen some screenshots and stuff like that, and bits here and there, but not playing it. So I can do this demo and then just kind of give thoughts so going on. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy as we do this. Let me move myself a smidge over though. I do like the character designs. They are very nice. Welcome to the demo of Wholesome Monstergirl Academia. All the written is finished, but there's always room for more scenes in the for more scenes in the future. Any misgrammar corrections. Enjoy reading and let me know of any bugs, inconsistencies, or any constructive criticism you have. Want to follow for updates? Check us out on Twitter. Wholesome MGA, or follow the developer at Truyomic, or is it Truyomic? Probably Truyomic. The Discord channel, WMGA Discord server. And wish this game on Steam if it seems like your kind of game. This link won't close the game, but will open up your Steam client if it is installed. So let's begin. August 1st, Friday. Which, that's actually the day, well, it's a Thursday, but actually it is August 1st. So I'm recording this, oh gosh. Haha, I guess it's fate or something. Final bell of my first week as a high school junior blares through the hallway. These are soon filled with hundreds of simultaneous conversations from students all over the school. I shove my books into my backpack and rush out of the classroom, relieved to be free for the weekend. I'll probably spend my time gaming or seeing what my friends are up to. Not that we're super close or anything meaningful, but it's still nice to hang with others with similar interests. For better or worse, it seems that nothing in my life ever changes. Even this year is starting to feel much the same as the last. The only difference is that I'm 1 year older than before. Mood. I leave the school through the double metal doors that lead downstairs into the parking lot. While rushing through the courtyard, I hear some raised voices coming from the far end of the sidewalk away from me. Hey! Don't hop away from us, Cottontail. I can't quite tell from afar, but a student with the build of a linebacker appears to be harassing someone. A bunny-type monster girl. Aw, she's so cute. Looking... Sir, I realize her as one of the few monster people in our school, Sophia. There aren't a whole lot of them in the public school system. For various reasons, it's taken time for monster people to integrate into society. A second shorter but slimmer student smoothly slides his arm around Sophia's shoulder. I still recognize him as Dave, the shadiest guy in school. He's well known for the not-so-savory parties that he throws at his rich parents' house. So I'm surprised one of the football players has fallen into one of his schemes. You got any plans for this weekend? Bill here, and a good place to hang out free from prying eyes. Sophia's eyes shift around uncomfortably. I hesitate for a moment, thinking I should just let this pass since there are plenty of other people around. Surely out of all these people, someone will stick up for her. Despite her shifting hands, Sophia's legs are locked and her feet are frozen in place. She looks like a rabbit caught in a trap. I survey the court. Wait, isn't that observation somewhat speciesist? I wonder. Survey the courtyard and notice that nobody else is even looking in their direction. Don't be in such a rush. We'll show you our favorite hangout and even share a few drinks. Please leave me alone. I have a boyfriend. Oh, I'm sure you won't mind if we went out for a few drinks with old friends, would he? She's clearly lying anyways. Who would actually go out with a cursed freak like her? Quiet, moron. Norm, let's just go some little more quiet. I've been told that a man is defined by the actions he takes, and I don't think I consider myself much of a man if I don't take action now. Do we have a problem here? Screw off, man. This is none of your business. Yeah, mind your own business. Can't you see we're busy making plans for the weekend? I wasn't talking to you two morons. I was talking to my friend, Sophia. It's very common for humans and monster people to hang out in most public schools, though there are a few exceptions. Everyone typically keeps to their own group, so it surprises these two that I know her name. Glance at Sophia's face. She appears relieved that she's no longer alone in the situation. She takes initiative and pushes Dave's arm off her shoulder. Hold it. I'm not letting you go without having a little fun first. Dave starts off after her again and grabs a hold of her wrist instead. I instinctively reach towards her, but suddenly see stars. Bill, no longer caring about Dave or Sophia, had just sucker punched me directly into the temple. Wow. I raise my arms up in defense and get ready to throw punches myself. Sophia stomps on Dave's fancy shoe and makes a break for it. I'll go get a teacher. As she says this, I prepare to put myself against the giant in front of me. Somehow, through my imperception, I ended up with my back against the school building, leaving me no choice but to fight back. He swings wide, giving me the opportunity to duck in and release a flurry of blows. Jab. Hook. Swing. 2 hits to the gut and 1 to the jaw, all of which he brushes off like it's nothing. In return, he punches me right in the eye, causing me to wince back in pain. Thinking quickly, I rush up at him despite his build and try to tackle him back. It does me no good, however, since he's built like a truck and he pushes me backwards against the wall. He knees me in the gut and grabs my shirt with his hands, causing me to panic. I use the wall to leverage some extra force and kick him in the gut, causing him to bend forward in pain. However, right as I do, we hear Sophia returning with the teacher in tow. Here they are, right over here! And as quickly as it started, it's over. She rushes over, having witnessed only my final kick. Makes an instantaneous judgment, then and there, as to who is at fault, and has us march to the principal's office. Mattered to them that I wasn't the one who started it. It doesn't matter to them I was helping someone out of a potentially dangerous situation. All that matters to them is the school's no-tolerance policy. I sit in the chair with the principal looming over, lecturing me about fighting on school grounds, especially on the first week of school. He sentences me to a week of detention and threatens expulsion if anything like this ever happens again. I shut my brain off to anything else he has to say to me. I'm not going to listen to anything from someone with the power to make things right but chooses not to look at facts. All that matters to me is that I was justified in my actions. I don't care what any authoritative body says about it. I know in my heart that I'm right. Just wish I knew how to properly express that. Fortunately, my parents are a lot more patient than the school administrators, and I'm able to explain my side of things to them. It's because of situations like this that I know I have them to thank for my strong sense of justice. My parents, fed up with how my school handles bullying situations, decided to enroll me in a private Catholic school 3 hours away from home. It's not out of nowhere that they came to this conclusion either. Our local church was offering scholarships over the summer for people wanting to attend during the now current school year, and there are still slots available. My parents ask if I agree with their assessment, whether this would be the best thing for me or not. They seem to regret not having put me through private school earlier, if only for the education. I don't really have any deep attachments to my current school, so I'm not at all that opposed to the idea of going to a new private school. Unfortunately, I still have to finish out the rest of the month at my current school, so I ride out the rest of my detention and finish the remaining month keeping my head down and nose clean. On a positive note, during that time I ended up befriending Sophia during my final weeks. Oh, well, that's nice. No, honestly, as a setup, that's pretty whatever as far as making sense, especially with the school thing. That would be somewhat realistic. As far as the blows with over... Sadly, coming to blows over with a, with some crappy admins. Over that kind of stuff, honestly, makes sense as a plot. And the fact that they actually did give sprites for the two bullies, so I'm sure they're probably not going to seek. So this is it, I guess. I guess so. I'm glad I got to know you better before I left, at least. Who knew we'd both be into the same bands and basketball teams. Right? I never expected that humans and monster people would have so much in common. Sorry. It's fine, I was thinking the same thing. We really aren't that much different on the inside, it seems. See, we're all the same on the inside. Full of red gooey bits. Only had time to get to know her and her kind more. Bad that you got in trouble even after I gave my side of the story to the principal. Don't worry about it. If you hadn't spoken up afterwards, my detention would have been all day during school with Dave and Bill rather than for an hour after school. Hey, cheer up. At least you won't have to keep attending the same school as those jerks anymore. Are you going to be okay despite them being here? Or about me? Us bunny girls are stronger than we look. I'll just stick with my friends after school. Well, be safe, Sophia. And I guess text me if you need anything. Not that I can do much 3 hours away. Same goes for you, Gabe. Take care. Yeah, you too. Somehow I doubt we'll keep in touch, but part of me hopes that we will despite the physical distance. After all, it's good to have friends. By end of that day, the new school's paperwork is taken care of and all of my necessary things are packed up. I think I'm ready to leave this school behind. Still, this will be a massive change for me. I have never been away from home for more than a week, so it will take some getting used to. Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. And after that men began to be multiplied upon the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God, seeing the daughters of men, that they were fair, took to themselves wives of all which they chose. And God said, My spirit shall not remain in man forever, because he is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years. Now the Nephilim were upon the earth in those days, for after the sons of God went into the daughters of men, and they brought forth children. These are the mighty men of old, men of renown. These few lines of early scripture have been the cause of much controversy for the last century or so. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, mankind shot the first satellites into space. It didn't take very long for these satellites to be used for practical purposes such as weather tracking and observations. During one particular observation effort, scientists discovered some small towns and cities hidden in areas previously unexplored in regions of the 6 major continents. Various world government powers took it upon themselves to send people out to chart these unknown peoples and to find out how they had hidden themselves from the world up and into the modern era. What they discovered baffled and scared most of humanity. Monster people, whose descriptions were always thought to be mere fantasy, harpies, dragonkin, slime, succubi, and even vampires were found among various other monster races, each reflecting stories from various myths from the surrounding ancient cultures. Average citizens were terrified. The governments called for quarantine of those newly discovered races. Many religions called them cursed and demon spawn. Some countries called for their extermination. Many monster people tried to fight back, but ultimately they were overwhelmed by the sheer number of regular humans. In an exception that surprised many, the Vatican made a call to action for Catholics in the whole world to treat these newly discovered humanoids with dignity and respect that any other human should be given. They reason that Christ's church is called to bring the message of salvation to all mankind, and that if these monster people are sapient. They are still to be considered persons first and foremost. Still, people being who they are, most rejected this message, and monster people were subject to oppression by many of the societies who had discovered them. Inspired by the civil rights movements also happening at the time in America, many ordinary people joined the efforts of the Catholic and Christian churches in their efforts to humanize these extraordinary people. The Catholic Church was instrumental in spearheading this movement too, having continuing against the grain of culture, even go so far as illegally marrying people of different races against the laws of the time. Today, more and more people than ever have come to accept monster people as just another race of people, but there are still those who held such prejudices to call them cursed or demon spawn. These passages from Genesis may or may not describe the true origins of these people, and it may be true that they may have come from a lineage cursed by God or the sinful actions of mankind. But children do not deserve to bear the burden of their parents' sins. At least that's how I see it. September 4th, Sunday. Body up, shut it, do you remember? Body up, dancing in September. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Windows. Oh, there we go, okay. Windows was being weird. Wait, we do have a codex. What's this? Encyclopedia. Bunny people. Bunny people are a monster person characterized by their long furry ears and fluffy cotton tails. They have a keen sense of hearing and smell and are known for their swift and graceful agility. They are usually quite sociable when among friends, often forming close-knit communities. Many enjoyed social gatherings and celebrations, though some are turned off by the idea of the Easter Bunny. I like that little thing. The new town is 3 hours away from homes when we arrive, so it's a few hours past lunchtime. We grab a quick bite to eat in town before my parents drop me off at the front gate. My parents and I embrace in a heartfelt goodbye, complete with embarrassing hugs and kisses at the front gate. I remain behind while they depart for the dorms to drop off my bag so I can start becoming acquainted with the campus. Maybe I'm just feeling optimistic, but it seems to me like the front gate has arms stretched open wide in welcome. I hope that this gesture is a good sign that I'm in the right place. Pondering for a moment, I think about what life is going to be like once I walk through those arms. Academics aside, I wonder how different a private Catholic school will be compared to my old public one. I'm a cradle Catholic, which means I was born and raised Catholic. Despite this, I never really had a deep connection with God. It's not that I don't believe or anything, it's just I've never really felt any closeness with my faith despite going to church a bunch as a kid. I'm sure there's something more to the whole religion thing, but for now I just do my basic duty and go to church. I received all the sacraments thus far as well, the most recent having been confirmation. They put us through a kind of faith formation education class every Wednesday for a few years leading up to it. I don't feel like I learned much from it, however. Surely there's more to Catholicism than just knowing the sacraments and a few Bible verses. I wish they had just given us more straightforward answers to certain questions like why we should even bother going to church on Sundays. Can't we just be spiritually close to God through prayer? Isn't He everywhere after all? Regardless, I know that despite some of the people in the Catholic Church's history, the Church itself is largely a force for good in the world. It does seem to me they provide the most charitable services in the world, especially in the healthcare and education sectors. Plus, there's a good bit of wisdom in the Bible and through the stories of the saints. I've heard some good things about that Jesus fellow. Even non-Christians seem to see much fault in him. I wonder how the God of all creation would react to being referred to that way. Surely he at least has a sense of humor. Otherwise, why would he have humored us with his presence? Anyways, whether or not I'm close to him in the present moment, all I can do is move forward and do good for myself and others. And as I step through the school gate, I resolve to do just that for my own life and those whose paths intersect with my own. I will go forth and become a better person so I can affect positive change in the world. And who knows, while I'm there, I'll find the path that God wants me to take. I step forward and begin my trek through campus to familiarize myself with the school grounds. A few dozen students are roaming from one place to another, enjoying their last day off before the weekend finishes. I start to feel a bit isolated since I'm coming from a different school halfway I start to feel a bit isolated since I'm coming from a different school halfway through my middle school career, a month into my junior year at that. I hope that I don't have any trouble making new connections. Still, this place doesn't look half bad, comfy even. I think I could get used to it. I wander aimlessly for a few minutes, clueless as to where I am headed when I notice a large beast-looking man walking in my direction. 2 giant ox horns adorn his head. I don't mean to stare, but it really is imposing at first glance. Besides this, I notice that he is dressed in priestly garb. Oh, okay, he must be the chaplain, Father John. While he approaches me, I wonder myself if should I ask him for directions. Surely he'd be the one to ask for guidance around here. And almost as if he can read my mind, he asks me before I even have a chance. Hold on. Is there a hide button? Here it. Bro is gonna have my guy here definitely has if he does it already, he's going to probably have some sus fan art of him. I just know it. Hey there, friend. You look like a lost sheep. Can I help you find your way? Yes, Father. I'm transferring here as a junior. I just arrived today and I was looking to find my bearings. Well, fortunately for you, it's my job to help the lost find their way. By the way, I'm Father John. I'm the chaplain here at St. Thomas Aquinas High School. Yes, sir. I kind of guessed from the descriptions I've heard of you, no offense. Haha. None taken. I know I'm kind of hard to miss. Anyway, it's nice to meet you. My name is Gabriel, though most people just call me Gabe. I'm hoping to get in video game design in the future. Messenger of God in need of guidance then. How ironic. Well, I think you're in luck because a reliable servant of the Lord has appeared to us. Father John gestures behind me to a monster boy who at first glance seems to be tired and unkempt. This is Damien. He's in your grade and a student council member to boot. Damien, would you mind terribly showing Gabe around on campus? He's new here and needs someone to show him around. I don't mind. He raises his hand in a short, motionless wave. Yo, I'm Damien, Daywalker. I do likewise, awkwardly copying his short wave while responding. Hold on a second, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Family dogs. Okay. And almost as he can read my mind, he asked me before I have a chance. Wait. Did it go back? Oops. Hold on. Likewise, awkwardly copying his short wave while responding. I'm Gabe, human. I wanted to make a joke about me also walking around during the day, but I still don't know how people might react to unsolicited jokes about their monster race. Well, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Gabe, but if you don't mind. Not at all. Sorry for keeping, sure you're still pretty busy on Sundays, even after Mass. Indeed I am. The work of a priest is never done. So luck finding your barons, Gabe. Should have come by the chapel sometime in the evenings if you ever need of spiritual guidance or need a confession heard. Of course, I'm always available in case of emergencies. Anyways, welcome to St. Thomas. Now left in the Daywalkers. Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to mixture of Blade, but also South Park with the... and carpet referring to people with red hair but no freckles as Daywalkers. I'm sorry. Okay, serious. I'm a professional. Though Damien sure doesn't look like he has the energy to lead me anywhere, much less do anything but sleep. So you're a junior too, huh? What made you come to St. Thomas High? It's a long story. Short version is that I got in a fight defending someone else, and my parents and I had a different perspective on the topic of justice than the school did. Yeah. Sounds complicated. So, what have you seen around school so far? Just the front gate in here. Right, it's over to the most popular lunch hangout. Then we can head inside so we can see where our classes are held. I have some business around there and elsewhere, so we'll get done while showing you around. Thanks, and sorry for the inconvenience. Don't sweat it. It's my job to make sure all students are taken care of as a school member. Looks like I ran into a bigwig around here. And though he doesn't look the type, he must do a lot of good for the school to have the chaplain rely on him like this. With Damien at the helm, I follow him to our next destination. We arrive in an open field with oak trees and picnic tables arranged here near one another. The area is filled with students, the most prominent of which are a group of cheerleaders chanting synchronized cheers. I try to keep a steady pace with Damien, but I struggle to keep up as he makes a surprising quick beeline to the cheerleaders. By the time I catch up, their routine is finished, and Damien starts talking to what looks like the head cheerleader. Unlike at my old school, I notice a lot of diversity among the group. Half of them are ordinary humans, but the other half are monster girls. A blue-feathered bird-type monster girl sneaks away from the group, while I'm idling myself waiting for Damien. Aw, I like her design, it's cute. The outfit is cute too. It's an interesting way that they did the... with the arm/wing. How to phrase that? How they're kind of... They did make it sort of like the claw, but how they combine the sort of the claw with the arm thing or whatever to do like the bird features, but without having like manipulating digits, but not having like a separate pair of arms different from wings. So, kind of trying to do sort of like a design that makes sense, but is both monstrous but also makes sense and not just, you know, tacking on for wings. She must be a harpy. Thank you. I couldn't tell. I haven't heard much about them except what was told in ancient legends. Said they used to pick up random travelers and kidnap them with their sharp, imposing talons. This harpy's short, brightly colored hair and her light blue feathers lower the intimidation factor by at least half. And if she weren't already coming closer, I'd say she looks very approachable. Those old tales can't be true, can they? And why she... Hey there, I haven't seen you around before. I'm Sarah. Oh, hey, I'm Gabe, as in Gabriel. Reached my hand out to greet her before realizing that it might be awkward to grasp a harpy's talons. Reaches mine before I can stop myself, and despite how it looks, the inside of her palm is surprisingly soft and her grip gentle. Nice to meet you. So am I right? Are you new here? Yeah, I'm a junior. Come from a little town 3 hours away. A junior here? Me too. What brings you all the way out here? Figure I'll have to repeat this a few times, so I quickly invent a way to summarize it for anyone that wants to know. Long story short, I got in a fight defending someone at school, and they had no tolerance policy in place. Oh, scary, a ruffian or a knight in shining armor. You'll have to spill the details later. Yeah, well, so this is the popular hangout during lunch hours, huh? Yeah, it's where I usually catch up with all the latest gossip. I mean, talk with all of my friends. Of course, there's an inside cafeteria as well, which is nice for when it's raining. The food's okay too, I guess. If you want to find someone during lunch or after school, this is the most likely place that you'll find them. Just then, Damien cuts in. Hey, Gabe. I'm not in this area. Let's go to the next place. Alright, nice to meet you, Sarah. Guess I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Sarah skips back to her squad members, bouncing on our feet with every step. Next up, our classroom. There's just a few things I need to get from there before we continue on. Lead the way. We enter the building together and walk down a long hallway. Poster boards and lockers line the walls, interrupted by doors and even intervals that lead to various classrooms. Damien stops in front of a particular room and reaches for the doorknob. This is our homeroom. We have about 20 students like this year, including you, and about half are monster people. That's a lot more than what we had at my public school. Yeah, makes sense. A lot of us feel like we fit in at the public schools. What's different about this school? Sirmonen thinks to himself, I didn't mean for the conversation to go in this direction. Seems like it could... too much of a personal question. Seems pretty fine in my experience so far. People are friendly enough or just don't care. Always be some isolated incidents, of course. Private schools can sometimes lead to elitism among wealthier students if the school doesn't stomp it out. Makes me wonder if Sophia and really all monster people would fare better at a school like this. I guess I'll find out this year one way or another. Don't seem too bothered to be around monster people for someone who came from a public school. What do you think gave you a different perspective? Honestly, I hadn't put much direct thought into it before. It felt natural to accept others for who they are and not just by their appearance alone. Usually. I don't for sure, but I was raised Catholic, so maybe that? And there's always a fair mix of people in pews at Mass, at least, even if there are more humans than monster people. Fair enough. Damien makes a move to reach his hand towards the doorknob, but briefly stops and looks back. Hey, if you ever any questions about monster people, don't be afraid to ask. Most of us aren't bothered, but sometimes it's amusing what questions people come up with. For the little time I spent with Sophia, I didn't have much of a chance like this, so I'll take advantage of this offer sooner or later. Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Turns back around and disappears through the doorway. I follow once again. I continue to follow Damien closely behind. He points out a few other relevant classrooms here and there as we walk along. On the way to the library, we run into two girls who are arguing over something. Come on, Eva. Let's see what book you checked out. I'll bet it's another I'll get a voice for this. I'll bet it's another steamy romance novel. A relatively short slime girl is teasing a blushing succubus who appears flustered. You can tell at a glance by the smug grin of the slime girl that she's a troublemaker. Very closely, I notice her extremely sleep-deprived eyes and two cute little antennae poking out of the front of her hair. Most of her body seems to be composed of semi-translucent, slimy material, all of which seems to hold up surprisingly well. To her side, the succubus, who, despite her already bright red skin, appears to be blushing heavily at the slime girl's teasing. She has two little horns protruding from her dark black hair and a slender tail coming out from behind her that ends in a pointed spade. Her solid black eyes are illuminated by her bright yellow pupils. And while she is also shorter than me, she also has a few inches on the slime girl. Cut it out, Clover. It's none of your business what I got, okay? No, wait. I give her a somewhat... She may be a somewhat standoffish. Maybe give her... let's give maybe a little bit of an Ojo-sama. Cut it out, Clover. It's none of your business what I got, okay? I promise I won't tell anyone, except maybe Damien over there. Hey, Clover, picking on Ava again? Won't be too hard on her, you know she's sensitive. Am not. Clover snickers devilishly. Let's get a look at their designs. I really like the slime girl. We got a number of bags under eyes, although for him it makes sense. And I think that the slime girl, they're going like with the gamer girl. Uh-oh, I'm kind of in the way. Hold on. Let me adjust. There we go. But yeah, I like the little detail. Sorry, Damien, I'm gonna be blocking you for a minute. But yeah, Slime Girl, I liked her design. Okay, you do something else. Okay, good. The little detail, untucked shirt or whatever. That's a nice detail, and like how the clothes is. So I feel that's a good one with like the personality. See, as much about the succubus. Her design's nice. Damien's, honestly, I do enjoy his design. His is neat. Okay, let me move back over here. Anyway, this is Gabe. He'll be in our class starting tomorrow. Nice to meet you both. Clover eyes me up and down with a smug grin on her face. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Clover is the slime girl. Eva is succubi. Which I think... Let me check the codex. Because it has more info. Succubus, incubus. Succubus and incubus people are red-skinned race of a bunch of people who get their name from the myths and legends surrounding creatures or demons with an appearance similar to theirs. Succubi are generally not related to demons. However, since demons, as angels, are completely spirit in nature, whereas succubi have both a physical and spiritual nature like regular humans. Okay, so it's trying to differentiate. Just best way to do it. This is a way of doing it. Although, I guess the one thing that is okay. So, so in the lore or whatever the game, like, you know, the people that didn't like monster people. I guess the naming, since if you're wanting to distance from like negative connotations, so like the friggin' like demon spawn or whatever, like why would you? I feel like referring to them as like succubi or incubi or something like that. It feels like something that would be like a slur almost, you know? They would have like their own like name that they want to refer to, but that would be because that would highlight the demon connection. You know? I don't know. It's just a thought. Okay, and vampires. Vampires are an evil monster person race that feed on human blood to survive. Half vampires are a different story, however. Yes, that's the Daywalkers. Daywalkers are a race of half vampires, according to the church, due to how they believe vampires are created. Now, all documented cases of vampirism have been of evil beings. Daywalkers show that they are just like any other human or monster person with complete freedom of will to act in the capacity of good or evil. Although they are often stereotyped as being loners and outcasts, some of them are quite social. They still have an aversion to the sun, however. Oh, okay. I guess we'll look at the other while we're... Harpies are winged monster people who are capable of flight. They have scaly limbs, and their hands and feet have sharp talons. Legends say that they used to pick up travelers on the road, kidnapping... Rumors have a way of dispelled by factual evidence. However, as modern-day harpies are not strong enough to fly while carrying the weight of another person. Okay. Dragonkin are a strong, proud race of monster people who pride themselves on their strength. It's said that as dragons were dying off during the Middle Ages, some of them took the form of man to find mates, resulting in dragonkin. Although this is commonly accepted as myth, even so, some dragonkin pass this story down to their children through bedtime stories. Let's see, slimes are a strange and unique race of monster people. While their bodies appear amorphous, they seem to prefer taking a humanoid shape. Their origins are a complete mystery, and their forms baffle even the most elite of scientists. Wait, let's see. Evan looks at me with some hesitation, but quickly looks away when she notices my eyes looking back. Likewise. Eva looks back at me with slight suspicion and replies, Nice to meet you too. Anyways, we better get going so Eva here can start on her new romance novel. Eva smacks Clover's head with her book, which gives it a distinctive splat, then rushes off blushing. Hold on, Eva, wait up. Those two normally get along, but Clover likes getting reactions out of poor Eva. It's okay, I understand. As long as they're just friends teasing in the spirit of good fun, yeah? If they weren't both different monster types, I'd assume they were sisters. Yeah, it does seem that way sometimes. Anyways, this is where the library is. When you have more time, you should go inside and check it out. There's a wide range of literature to choose from and a pretty decent computer lab. Let's check out the gym next. Coming out of the back and end of the school, the doors open up to a large field next to what looks like a gymnasium. Outside, Multiple students are hanging out, throwing balls, and performing various other physical activities. I guess Sundays are still pretty busy for some of the sports clubs. Not always, though some of us like to get ahead of the competition, especially her. As we weave our way through the various sports groups, my eyes focus on one almost entirely in sync. From the group, a tall dragonkin leads their movements with impressive gusto. Ha! Yeah! Ha! It's quickly apparent why she's the leader. Besides her extremely tan and fit appearance, she towers over the rest of the group. Two piercing horns protrude from the side of her head, giving a rather imposing appearance. Despite this, her sharp gaze implies her sharp wits. Her hair is drenched in sweat, which pours over the shiny red scales at the sides of her face. Alright guys, let's take a break. Just as he calls for a break, Damien walks over to greet her. What's up, Ren? Working the team hard on a weekend, I see. You can't let a day off be an excuse to get lazy. Let no day go to waste. Ren glances over in my direction, aware of my approach. This is Gabe, he's new here. Alright, let's get a look. And I'll move over again. Okay. Yeah, it's a nice design. It's interesting they went with the more, I guess, a brighter on the pupils instead of like a black on the slits. Okay, I'll move myself back. We don't quite match. Well, wait. No. Not on the scales. A bit off. Wait. Okay, I'm almost on the yellow. Not quite, though. Sad kobold noises. Gabe, he's new here. He transferred from a public school this year because he got in a fight at his old one. Ren turns to face me and looks me up and down as if to size me up before a brawl. Well then, maybe you could join the martial arts club if you think you could handle yourself in a fight. I thought it was odd that Damien would bring up the fighting part of my intro, but it makes sense now. A not-so-subtle way to advertise the martial arts club, I guess. I'll have to think on it. The fight was spur of the thing. I don't really care for violence. No excuses. The martial arts aren't about starting fights, just finishing them when necessary. Ironically, right after saying that, she playfully punches me hard in the left shoulder, giving me a distinctive smack. She smirks at me as she does this. Just think about it. Usually practicing here or in the gym after school. And if it'll help me dodge your punches, I might have to. I say this while massaging my likely bruised shoulder. You're funny. I'll see you in class then. She turns to face her fellow martial artists and starts rattling them back into training. She's one of the school's best athletes. She's one of the school's best athletes. Not just in martial arts, but also basketball, volleyball, track, lifting. Actually, I don't think there's a sport she isn't good at. Speaking of, if you don't join the martial arts team, consider joining the basketball team. The season doesn't start until the beginning of November. Plus, there's the bonus that the harpy girl you were talking with earlier, Sarah, will be cheering you on during the matches. Imagining myself being cheered for by Sarah, I almost blushed, but quickly composed myself. I'll have to think on that too. I've never formally joined my team sports before, but I can't say that I'm bad at them casually either. Well, look out in gym class regardless. There's a good chance that Ren will challenge you and Sarah will be watching. I'll keep that in mind. With the prospect of being snaked out during gym by two monster girls on my mind, we continue our journey. Arrived at the outside of a very tall and imposing church. Soars high above any other building around, and it doesn't seem to be afraid of letting its presence known. Still, it's only the size and sharp spires that make it imposing. The house of God is meant to be a place of awe worthy of representing its spiritual head. There's no Catholic church building worth its merit can be mistaken for what it represents. Finally, we have the chapel. Mass is held every Wednesday before school, replacing first period, and every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Thanks. I'll commit it to memory so I don't miss it. Speaking of time, I'm almost late for an evening appointment. I'll catch up with you later. Alright, thanks again for the tour. I'll have to make it up to you sometime. Don't sweat it. Later. He wanders off in another direction, throwing another one of his signature waves over his back, and leaving me in front of the chapel's doors. The noise of the crowds of students has died down compared to earlier. I suppose it is dinner time after all. Since I'm already here, I approach the chapel doors intending to just peek inside. The door shut behind me with a soft thud. Allow my sense to take it my surroundings. The church appears to be mostly empty and quiet. A few steps in, I hear a faint humming coming from one of the back pews. I reverently walk down that center aisle about a third of the way in until I locate the source of the sound. A girl with a long black ponytail and big red ribbon is leaning sideways in the middle of a pew. She reminds me of the members of a punk band I once saw on TV. The red and black striped stockings and the little skull on her chest really complete the look. She quickly types on her cell phone while gently humming an unfamiliar tune. She doesn't seem to notice me, so I sit down in the same pew on the far side away from her to take in the reverent atmosphere. The inside of the church is adorned in all manners of golden colors, stained glass, and statues of saints. Or towards the front, the altar is immaculate except for a long cloth covering its top. Behind the altar on the wall represents a golden box common to all Catholic churches. I believe it's called the tabernacle. It's where they put the bread after communion for storage as far as I recall. Just then I hear the front doors of the church swing wide open. Father John steps through, heading down the aisle towards the altar. This alerts the girl sitting on the other side of the pew of my presence. Okay, let's take a look at... okay, she has a nice design. There's the little punk accoutrements. Accoutrements. I can't werb. She definitely watches Tim Burton movies. She stops typing on her phone, takes a quick glance at me, then gets up to leave. I take a motion to stand up and get out of her way, but end up stumbling into her. Before I can move again, I notice that she has two fangs protruding from her mouth. She must be a daywalker like Damien. I wonder if they know each other considering how rare they are. Excuse me. Sorry, let me get out of your way. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's fine, don't worry about it. I was finished here anyways. She hurries past me and leaves out of the front door as passing Father John along the way. Father John continues his pace, passing her with a gentle smile until he stops in front of me. Gabe, it shows about your character to come to confession on the first day before your new school. Sorry to disappoint, but my motives aren't as pure as that. The church just happened to be the last stop of Damien's tour before he had to run off. By the way, who was that vampire-looking girl that just walked out of the church? Oh. That's Arya. She comes in here every once in a while during off hours. Feels she hasn't yet accepted the promptings of the Holy Spirit to accept the Lord into her life, but at least she seems content in the chapel's serene atmosphere. Far be it for me to prevent her spending time in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament. She does and here is of little concern to me unless she wishes to make it known. A non-religious vampire in a church, huh? I've heard many strange things, but you can't get more out of place than that. I wonder if she just has a complicated background. I won't judge her for it. Live and let live, I suppose. By the way, you may not know much about them, but daywalkers don't usually like being referred to as vampires. They are of different natures, after all. Sorry, I have a feeling I'm going to be learning a lot of things about monster people. Fortunately, Damien didn't extend an invitation to me for open questions, so I'll catch up with him on that kind of stuff later. And it's good to know about the people you're around every day, even more so for a Christian whose divine purpose is to witness to all peoples. Anyways, if you have anything on your mind that's bothering you, I can offer you absolution or advice. Whatever you're comfortable with, though, the former will be more spiritually effective. It's always good to start fresh in a new school after all. I don't really have a reason to refuse. It would be nice to have a clean slate going into this school, and a bit of God's grace never hurt either. It's been quite a while since I've been, after all. Mostly just gone through the motions of going to church. Maybe this could be the start of getting back on track to being more faithful? It might also be to clear my mind of any doubts surrounding the fight at my previous school. Yeah, I think I'll take you up on that offer. But it's been a while, so forgive me if I'm a little rusty. Case I'll guide you along the way. Prefer to brush up and meditate in private. We have pamphlets on the side over there. He points to a shelf on the wall with many different informational pamphlets ranging from confession to dealing with loss. Thanks, Father. I'll do just that. Splendid. I'll head back into the confessional booth then. You come in whenever you're ready. Father John smiles back warmly. I can feel that he's a genuine person who really cares about his students. He turns on his heels and treads reverently towards the confessional. Grabbing one of the pamphlets, I unfold the tract and skim through the beginning. It's good to start with an examination of conscience. It says that sins can be categorized using the 7 deadly sins, which you can use as a guide to determine what you have done wrong. Greed, lust, wrath, gluttony, envy, sloth, and the father of all sins, pride. Greed doesn't seem to be a sin that I struggle with. Granted, I've been blessed with a life where I haven't wanted for much. Glutton, envy, and pride haven't reared their ugly eggs in my life much either. Though it could be pride to think like that in the first place. I'll have to meditate on that further time. I can't say I've never dealt with lust before, but I usually keep myself too busy to fall that temptation very often. Plus, we keep our computers in a common family area, so I usually try to steer clear of any sites that might provoke unwanted parental attention. As far as sloth goes, I can definitely afford to be more diligent in my prayer life and increase my acts of service to others. If I'm wrong about my idea of justice concerning the fight, then wrath could be of concern as well. I mean, I don't think I was wrong to do what I did. I was helping someone else get out of a bad situation after all. It can't hurt to get some clarification on things, so I'll ask anyways. I'm definitely still holding some resentment for the unjust punishments that my previous school doled out on me, however. I take all of these thoughts and meditate over them in the pews for a few minutes, trying to think of anything else I may have forgotten. Finishing my meditations, I decide that I'm prepared for my first confession in quite a while. Alright, I think I'm ready to go. I stand up out of my seat and head towards the confessional booth. My offhand holding on to the pamphlet, I take hold of the door and go inside where Father John is waiting. I close the door behind me. The door makes an audible click. I wonder if I should sit in front of Father John or not, since it appears to be optional according to what I just read. Okay, just give the option, or rather just sit face to face. Choose to sit in front of him. He greets me with a warm smile. I begin reading off the pamphlet, a formulaic introductory prayer that seems to simplify the beginning of the sacrament. Confess to Almighty God and to you, Father, that I have sinned. It's been quite a while since my last confession. First off, I could be more diligent against sloth by strengthening my prayer life and increasing my acts of service to my fellow man. Very good, son. I'm glad you've decided to come back again. Tried by the church to go at least once a year, but we could use a little extra grace more often, can't we? Plus, we all fall short of the glory of God, so He is there to help us. As for your lack of good works, there are plenty of opportunities on campus for acts of service for you if that is what you seek. Do you have anything else you would like to confess? Yes, Father. So, I'm not exactly sure if this is sin or not due to the circumstances, but the reason I left my old school is that I got myself in a fight while defending someone else who was in an uncomfortable situation. Two sleazeballs were aggressively hitting on a monster girl, and she clearly told them she wasn't interested. One thing led to another, and I ended up kicking one of them in the gut to get away, after he got in a few good punches on me. Well, are you confessing or are you bragging? Father John chuckles to himself a bit. Only joking, of course. There are times when our anger goes too far and becomes wrath, but anger itself is a useful tool. When you're using that tool to defend yourself or others, it becomes what is known as righteous anger. Something that even Jesus did when he flipped the tables in the temples. But what if the whole dialogue of turn the other cheek Jesus spoke of? I figured I would take this opportunity to get that question answered since it seems like a contradiction. In biblical times, there are many customs that need to be taken into context today, including certain idioms that were popular in the day. In this instance, Jesus was teaching people that if someone insulted you or slapped you on one cheek, that you should invite them to do it again to the other. He was pointing out the frivolity of such actions. There is nothing to be gained by returning an insult to someone who only wishes ill of you. However, that does apply to cases when you or someone else is in imminent danger. In such case, we defer to the other passages concerning the defense of the innocent and righteous anger. I thank you for clearing that up for me, Father. I feel that I already knew that, but I'm glad to know what my sense of justice isn't too far from what the church teaches. I have a lot of thinking to do about all this. I'm thankful that he's both knowledgeable and understanding. It's really assuring there are people who can give clear and concise answers like this. I would also like to confess my resentments against the administrators of the school. I know I was right, but it's probably not healthy to hold on to anger like that. Understandable anger in face of unjust punishment, but yes, it would be healthy to let it go. Instead, pray that you will gain the wisdom that comes from God to judge righteously and with justice. Those are all of the sins I can recall at this time. In that case, before I give you your penance, I would suggest joining one of the school clubs, each of which should give you an opportunity to serve others, God, and yourself. For actual penance, I want you to pray and meditate on the Lord's Prayer, focusing on the words Our Father, especially the fact that he loves us so much as to humble himself, so far as to allow us to call him so I could say the word. So far as allow us to call him so familiarly, Abba, Father, as we are his children. Finally, I want you to say a prayer for the people who were tormenting you and your friend, as well as the administrators at your former school. It may be hard to do, but prayer for a conversion of heart that may become better people through Jesus our Lord. That might be fairly difficult for me with how I feel about them, but I'll give it some thought. Now, please pray an act of contrition. Liking back down at the tract, I say the prayer at the end, which appears to get all the right meanings as it was tempered over time through the ages. To focus on words truly mean, I begin to remember some of it from my faith formation classes. Perhaps I remembered more than I thought. As I finish, Father John begins his prayer of absolution. God the Father of mercies, through the death and resurrection of his Son, has reconciled the world to himself, sent the Holy Spirit among us for the forgiveness of sins. The mystery of the Church, may God give you pardon and peace, and I absolve you from your sins in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Those words, I absolve you from your sins, I feel a deep warmth and even a shiver inside of me. Spirit, I cannot say, but I won't doubt it. Amen, and thank you, Father. Any time, son. I stand up again, reflecting on the great mystery I just participated in. There is something more to these sacraments than I've been giving attention to. I gently retreat through the door of the confessional and close it behind me. Still in a reverent state of mind, I start walking down the aisle and heading towards the front of the church to pray. As I pass through the front pews, I notice a certain succubus that I met earlier praying by herself. Aren't they supposed to be related to demons somehow? I instantly dismiss the thought. Even I know that demons don't have physical bodies. The reality is I still may have some biases left over from the media I consume and students at my old school. She looks up at me a little surprised, but averting her eyes back down in the book she holds in her hands, trying very hard to evade my notice. I decided to let her be and start to pass her by when I hear a small voice behind me. Is Father John ready for another confession? Back around, I see her looking up at me from behind the book. Doesn't appear the one she hit Clover over the head with earlier. I believe so. I don't see anyone else behind me before I went in, besides that daywalker girl who left, so you're good to go. Arya, you mean? Anyway, thanks. She gives me a short nod and hurries toward the confessional booth, her tail trailing behind her into the little room. I can only presume what a succubus girl would confess, but I won't be uncharitable. Allowing the thought to escape my mind, I find an empty space near the front to pray and perform my penance. I know we don't talk much except during morning prayers, but thank you for letting me continue to confess my sin to you this evening. Next, I pray the Our Father, focusing on the beginning like Father John said. The idea that an almighty being would humble himself to create us and call us his children is astonishing if I really think about it. I start meditating on the different parts of the prayer and their meanings. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. When I pray this as a rote prayer in the morning, the meaning slips me by, but there does seem to be a lot more to it now that I'm slowing down. Is this the standard by which God will judge us? Will God hold it against me if I don't forgive others of their sins? What if I don't forgive those bullies and just simply never bully someone else? Is that sufficient forgiveness in God's eyes? I ponder this and more in silence while I think of something to say to God about those who wronged me as well. I know you saw everything that happened. John told me I was not entirely in the wrong for the self-defense part, but I'm sorry for the resentments that I've been holding on to. Please bring those people to a better mindset and a better understanding of what they did to the both of us. And help me to always be aware of my anger so that I only use it as a tool for righteousness. Amen. I hope that is acceptable. I always feel awkward talking with God on a personal level. Perhaps it's like any other relationship that just gets better with time. I can't improve my relationship with God if I never talk to him after all. Done with my prayer and penance, I stand back up and prepare to leave the church. Before I leave, I dip a finger into the holy water font and make the sign of the cross for a quick blessing while walking out of the door. Stepping outside, I notice that the sun has already set over the tree line. I look around at the empty courtyard in front of the chapel. The daywalker I saw earlier is sitting on a bench, quickly typing into her phone. Just as she finishes writing and lowering her phone, I approach her to apologize for startling her before. Sorry about earlier. I know the church is supposed to be a place of meditation. I didn't mean to interrupt your concentration. Don't worry about it. I was just taking down notes of a few ideas that were stuck in my head. Are you a writer then, perhaps? Something like that, I guess. See, well, I won't keep you from what you're doing. See you around campus then? I turn to leave to find my way to the dorms, but then I remember that I don't know how to get there from here. Do you know where the guys' dorms are from here? Transfer student. My name is Gabe, by the way. I'm Arya. But yeah. Go back around that building over there. Go straight for a while until you pass a big tree. You'll notice it when you get there. By the way, are you a junior? Yeah, how'd you guess? You just seemed a little younger than me, that's all. I'll see you around campus then. She picks up her stuff and heads It's in roughly the opposite direction of where she directed me to go. Younger than her, huh? I guess that means Ari is a senior? I still wonder what she was writing in her phone. I guess I'll just have to get her know better to pierce the veil of mystery that surrounds her. I set off in the direction Arya pointed to earlier and make my way to the dorms. Finally, I make the turn near the big tree, and just as Ari described, I see the dorms in the distance. Walking through the common air, I see a handful of other students out and catching up before classes begin. Again tomorrow morning. I overhear a conversation about the games they play instead of weekend homework. While another is talking about a girl he's crushing on one grade below him. Continuing into the hallways, I look for my room. Number 143, right here. I open the door and take my first steps inside. My bags are in the middle of the room where my parents must have left them. There's a note on the luggage that says simply, "We love you, Gabriel, and hope you have a great semester at your new school. If you need us, don't hesitate to call. Love, Mom and Dad." I gather my things and put them where they belong. They probably won't remain orderly for long, but I may as well put them in their proper place while I'm thinking about it. I set my laptop on the desk and my Bible on the bedside table for the finishing touches. Before I even have a chance to meditate on the day's events, I collapse onto my bed and drift away. The tone of my alarm clock eases me awake. My eyes open to an unfamiliar ceiling. I must have exhausted last night because I don't even remember setting my alarm. I grab my phone from the bedside table and check the time. 6:30 a.m. I force my body into an upright position and swing my legs over the side of the bed. Rubbing my eyes, I start my morning ritual. 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 15 sit-ups. It seemed like doing it each morning helps wake me up and gives me energy. I grab a towel and my shower gear and head into the bathroom. Prepare my mind for the day by meditating in the shower and reciting my morning prayers. This time I pay a little more attention to the words I'm saying after last night. It's always been a simple Our Father and any other little thing that's on the mind. Something my dad taught me when I was younger. When your mind is still waking up, focus your will on God and the rest of your day will go His way. At the very least, it's always helped me clear my mind and focus on my goals for the day. Today's primary goal is paying attention in class so I'm not left behind. I'm a month behind everyone else after all. The school sent me a homework package before I arrived with the expectation that it would catch me up at least. As I'm meditating on the day, I wonder if the people's morning rituals have any resemblance to my own. After finishing up in the shower, I put on my uniform and scarf down a quick breakfast bar for my morning meal. It's not ideal nutrition, but it does its job of holding me over until lunch. All the other guys wearily make their way through the hall and out the doors onto the campus. I follow the steady but disconnected stream of students heading from all over into the main school building. As I enter the classroom, I'm greeted by a familiar face. "Good morning, Gabe. Did you find your way here all right?" Such a bright and cheery attitude this early leaves no doubt me that she's a morning person. "Good morning, Sarah. You're here early. Class doesn't start for another 10 minutes. You know what they say, the early bird gets the worm, though I can't really stand to touch worms, too slimy." Now that makes me wonder if Hermes actually do eat worms, though I'm too afraid to ask. Speaking of worms, here comes Ren. Follow Sarah's gaze to the door and watch as Ren enters with a backpack slung over her shoulder with one hand. "What's happening, Sarah?" "A morning, new guy." "Oh, I get it. Worm isn't... Never mind." Ba-da-ba-ba-dum-bum-bum. "Good morning, sir. Have you met Gabe yet?" "Yeah. He's following Damien around like a lost puppy yesterday. I hear he's pretty good at sports." "You have to show us in gym today. And how your skills are, I'm going to have to scout you for the basketball team." "And if I get him in the martial arts club first." Sarah and Ren continue fighting over which club I'm going to be forced to join as they take their seats. With my gaze still focused toward the doorway, I notice Clover and Eva entering the room. Although her name's honestly probably pronounced Eva. Eva looks in my direction and shyly raises her hand in a short greeting before finding my seat. As she does this, she looks directly at me and blushes a bit before focusing her attention back to Clover. Or it's because I saw her before the confessional last night. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. I was there for myself too, after all. While I'm thinking to myself, Clover sleepwalks her way in, but still managed to find her seat despite this. Damien walks in soon after giving me a quick yo with his signature wave and finds his seat. He looks about as tired as Clover. I wonder if his student council duties extend into the weekend or even late at night. Time class is about to start. I'm still left awkwardly standing around near the front of the class. Fortunately, I'm saved by the teacher who opened the door soon after. Good morning, class. A nun in our habit floats gently into the classroom. What's got her goat? I'm sorry, terribly. Okay. But she is really cute. Not gonna lie. My eyes focus on the two circular horns affixed to the side of her headdress. Also does... Hold on one second. I also notice that there is a cloth belt wrapped around her waist, to which is affixed a rosary. The left hand is adorned with the plain silver ring on her ring finger. She's not married, but if I had to guess, it's like a symbol of her perpetual vow of chastity. The other students quickly wrap up their conversations and take their seats. Left standing awkwardly at the front of the class, waiting to be assigned a seat. I take a quick note of the whiteboard where the teacher's name is written Sister Talia. Today we have a new transfer student. A town 3 hours over. Okay, why don't you introduce yourself? And you can mention the whole fighting thing for that upkeep time. I'm sorry, that's kind of getting me. The thing. It's a little bit... She'd expect to be put on a spot like this. Think of some basic things to say that should suffice as an introduction. Hell, my name is Gabe. I've grown up a Catholic? Yeah. I've grown up a lifelong Catholic, and although I used like staying at the center of attention, good ways from home, so I hope to get to know more here. I finish hoping that's good enough. I could have mentioned casual sports, gaming, or music, but I don't think it will be worth mentioning to them. I just dabble in a lot of different hobbies, but don't excel at anything in particular. Jack of all trades, master of none, I suppose. Class applauds and welcome as Sister Talia points me out to a seat near the window. Fortunately, it's right next to Damien in front of Sarah. She gives me a wide grin and excitedly shifts up and down in her chair as I approach. I take my seat as the teacher begins the day. Hope all of you are nearly done reading a book from last week's assignment. Be a quiz this Friday depending on the book you chose. Most of the other students groan at this news. Gabriel, since you're coming in partway through the assignment, I will delay your quiz and allow you the weekend to catch up, going over books that our Protestant brethren have, and then comparing and contrasting the many values we share in common. You can pick from one of these 3 titles by C.S. Lewis. She animates a sheet of paper with the assignment on it. The books in question are Mere Christianity, Screwtape Letters, and The Abolition of Man. I'll have to check one of these out in the library later today. It shouldn't be a problem. I'm a fairly quick reader. I stick the paper in a binder for safekeeping and return my attention to the front of the classroom. Each of these books provide us with a different perspective in which to view the Christian lens using religious reasoning, philosophical reasoning, and narrative. C.S. Lewis once famously said, "I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else." I just... Sorry, I'm just having the thought of trying to match it someone telling C.S. Lewis by that one day you will be quoted by a goat lady nun in a dating sim video game. Okay, sorry. Back to... I meant by this is not simply that Christianity may explain the things for which we may yet know in sciences, a fallacy known as God of the gaps. But that within this one world view, all sorts of why questions can be answered, not in the casual sense, but as far as the sense of why should anything matter. It's an answer for every moral question and quandary, and when viewed as a whole, holds no rational contradiction. And when there appears a contradiction, it's usually due to a faulty personal interpretation. Catholics, this isn't a problem since we can refer to church teaching through the magisterium. Now, the magisterium was established to keep and organize the findings of the church as for the 2 millennia of its existence and beyond. All this religious theology right off the bat on the first day is a lot to take in. Play it all, of course, but it's unreal to see it taught in the classroom. I wonder what the world would be like if basic religion and philosophy were taught in public schools. Would it at least encourage more thoughtful discourse? Who really knows? I think about Arya for a moment, remembering that Father John said she isn't religious. I wonder if she cares about taught about religious philosophy, or she just expects it having been enrolled in Catholic education. Sister Tali calls out to various students about what they've learned so far. Her first victim is Clover, who with more coyness than shame admits that she hasn't started reading yet. Sister Tali just shakes her head and sighs. Sarah whispers behind me, "Clover's a big-time gamer. She's more likely to stay up late on her computer than read, but I hear she's naturally smart so she still has good grades. It's probably why Sister Tali isn't too hard on her." Sister Tali's next heart is Eva, who I thought would act more timidly in front of the class. She instead surprised me with a confident answer. Sarah speaks up again behind me, confirming my suspicions about Eva's hobbies. "Notice, Eva is obsessed with reading. She's a lot more book smart than what you might call street smart." "Sarah, do you have anything to add to the discussion?" "No, Sister Talia. Sorry, ma'am." Sarah zips her lips tight. I can practically feel the redness of her cheeks radiating behind me. Class continues along with no more interruptions from Sarah. I suppose she learned her lesson. After class, the class pours into the hallway for lunch. I expect most of the students are at the cafeteria, so I follow them since I don't remember exactly where it is from yesterday's tour. The menu seems typical of any other school cafeteria. A build-your-own sandwich station with a simple salad bar and a main item of the day. The fuck? Sorry. The fudge is a salad bar. This is America, or whatever. It looks like burgers or chicken fingers with a few vegetable sides. Since I don't recognize anyone inside, I grab a plate, load it up, and head outside. Sun shines brightly on everyone in the courtyard. Everyone is either sitting and eating at picnic tables or standing around talking to each other under shaded trees. One side of the courtyard, I spy Sarah and Ren at one of the picnic tables where there are several unoccupied seats. They appear to be having an animated conversation about something. I feel bad about interrupting them, but I don't see anyone else I know around here. Sarah seems very sociable, so I don't think it'll be a problem. I might have to be wary around Ren, however, since she seems like she wants to measure up my athletic abilities. I should take this chance to get to know them a little bit better. I approached them while they're still actively chatting. Looks like Sarah chose the chicken fingers as most of her food is still on her plate. Meanwhile, Ren chose the chicken fingers. Is that like cannibalism? Or almost? Half cannibalism? Meanwhile, Ren is with a mouthful of her burger. He's telling me that a gallon of milk... He was telling me that a gallon of milk a day is the fastest way to bulk up muscle. And when he finished drinking the whole jug, he spewed all over the sidewalk. Ren let an uproarious laughter as she washes down her burger with her own bottle of what looks like a protein shake. Sarah chuckles at Ren's story, then notices me approaching. She waves me over and motions me onto the bench attached to the table. Hey, Gabe. Just telling me about a guy at our gym who's trying to give all people tips on how to bulk up. Heh, didn't even know the decency to try my routine after he embarrassed himself like that. Ren takes another chug of her shake. The wide motion wipes away a milk stash that leaves behind. So we hear you're some of an athlete yourself. What's your game? An athlete I am not, but I did play a little basketball in elementary school and did taekwondo in middle school. My dad coached the basketball team, but I couldn't say I've kept my skill set. And I only got as far as advanced blue belt in martial arts class. I only thought to mention those two because they were irrelevant. I also tried swimming once, but I wouldn't want to admit that I quit that after I lost my swim trunks during an initial dive while practicing before a competition. At least only the guys team saw that accident, so I'm sure you're pretty good at something. Yeah, you stood your ground when I decked your shoulder yesterday, didn't you? My hand instinctively moves to my shoulder where she punched yesterday. I roll it around a bit and can still feel some of the brute ooze she left, but I laugh it off anyways. Sweat, and only left a little mark. Wasn't dislocated or anything. Ren chuckles at my remark, eyeing my shoulders as I rotate it around in its socket. Since you know a little about this already, what kinds of things were you into at your old school? Being honest when I say I didn't have a lot of focused hobbies, but I could pick one of minor hobbies that I know these two were into and go with that. What kind of hobby was I in my old school? Socializing, martial arts with competitive video games. We're a pro gamer, so good. Just gonna play video game at home online with friends. Mostly competitive shooters and fighting games. Ren perks up at the mention of fighting games. Play Street Fighting 4? Sure, I played 3, 4, and a few others like Immortal Combatants and Super Smash Buttons. Good taste. We should take a trip down to the arcade sometime and duke it out there. Incorporate that fighting game spirit in the real world. I bet I could make a warrior out of you yet. I'm not sure that would translate well, but who knows? It does take some quick thinking after all. I'll have to think over it a bit more. Conversations continue along these lines until the bell rings. Ren chugs down the rest of her shake and Sarah neatly stacks the items on her tray for disposal. Great catching up with you. And then I will go on ahead and take care of the trash. We'll see you in gym class a little later, alright? Thanks, and yeah, see you there. Get up and grab my things and start heading to our next class. Thinking about the conversations we had during lunch, I think back to the types of casual conversations I had with my old friends. I never really became that close to many people there. I would usually just hang out with the same few groups of friends, talking about the latest popular trending show or video game that came out. I wonder if I'll have anything more meaningful than that, or if that is just something you have to get lucky enough to find for yourself. Might it advantage or disadvantage now that I have a fresh start? On one hand, I don't know anybody so I can make myself new if I want. A tabula rasa, ready to be molded into whatever I want, or whatever a new friendship calls for. On the other hand, pre-existing friend groups might not have any incentive to open the door and ruin their current group's synergy. I wouldn't really blame them for that either, I guess. At any rate, everyone seems to be getting along whether they are a monster person or a regular human. Does the religious nature of the school have anything to do with that? I hope merely being a part of the larger faith community is good enough to open a door for anyone hoping to belong. Surely it is, right? It's like I need to think to myself in the hallway, I run into Arya, who, as I recall, wasn't outside during lunchtime. I wonder if the whole Daywalker thing has anything to do with it, considering the sunlight. I considered calling out to her, but changed my mind at the last second. Would she want to talk to an underclassman anyway? Despite my insecurity, she looks up and notices me approaching. This catches me off guard as I move to greet her. Hey. Smooth. She continues tapping on our cell phone, seeming to ignore me when she suddenly greets me back. Hey there, Gabe, was it? Since I ran into her yesterday, I've been curious about what kinds of things she was writing in her phone. She didn't deny being an author, but I got the feeling that she wasn't exactly writing a novel. Yes, still making notes in your phone? Sure, not that it's anyone's business. Point taken, but I'm still curious. Ara looks back to her phone briefly, then starts typing again as if she never looked up in the first place. Song lyrics, musical notation. I play guitar, so it helps to keep notes when I don't have it next to me. Okay, I can see that. Punk accessories, goth-type makeup, a standoffish attitude. I don't mean to profile, but she fits the bill. That's a new one for me. Will I get to hear any of it during music class? I did sign up for that as an elective, after all. Probably not. We mostly do choir songs and popular music. I was asked to play once or twice, but I think they've given up and asked me to perform during class. Fair enough. They probably don't want to force anything. I know she's not religious considering what Father John said about her, so I'll probe a bit further and see what that might be. So, do you do religious songs, or I mean, since you were in the church at all? Religion and I don't really get along. Spiritual at least then? Now you look at it, maybe. It still doesn't explain why she was in the church. I'll have to ask more specifics at another time. I don't want to push too much after all, despite my curiosity. Alright, well I won't keep your thoughts anymore. I mean, you don't want to put her on the spot anymore? Ahem. Typing into her phone while walking beside me. Not very sociable, I guess, but at least she didn't shut me down. So curious to me how a daywalker of all things rolled in a Catholic high school. It may be biased for something outside of their world, but it's saying that all vampires are evil to help become vampires. I know better than to judge a book by its cover, and I'm willing to bet it's more complicated than that. Nobody with a free will can automatically be condemned as without the possibility of redemption. I should get around to asking Damien about that sort of thing. After all, Father John suggested that I should get to know more about monster people since I'll be around them a lot more. The noise of basketballs and sneakers assaults my ears as I enter the gym. Some students have organized themselves into circles for warming up and stretching, while others seem to have started right away. Sarah and Ren are a part of the former group. Other groups of students head straight towards the bleachers to socialize or read by themselves. It kind of defeats the purpose for a class dedicated to moving around, but I'm sure it's a welcome break for some. Comes to me as a surprise when Arya walks past me and takes a seat in the bleachers, still on her phone. I guess they combine a lot of different grades for electives. That means I'll have her in both music and gym class. Also in bleachers, I spot Clover, who is deep in a conversation with Eva. Eva looks like she is totally ignoring Clover while she reads her book. What a dynamic duo. Noticeably, Damien is absent from the whole picture. I wonder if he gets an excuse from PE due to student council duties. At my other school, we used to do whatever activity or sport the PE coach directed everyone to do, but it appears that this school has a bit of a choice. I guess it's a matter if I'm feeling more active and competitive today or not. I could see how many schools match up to Ren, or just get to know the lazy bums in the bleachers a bit better. In a chance to choose, Ren calls out to me. Oi! New guy. Better get geared up. I'm not letting you skip out on your first day here. Guess my mind is made up for me. In that case, it's time to get my blood pumping and stretch out these muscles. Good thing I've kept up with my daily morning workouts, so I won't be too out of shape for this. I head towards the group in which Sarah and Ren are stretching. As I approach, Sarah beams a bright smile towards me. Or a short tap... Yeah, next to her. A short cat-type monster girl sizes me up. Get ready to show off those skills you have against Ren. Cat girl sighted. Let's check. Aw, she's cute. The little band-aid and everything. Tomboy energy. Yeah, and the freckles are cute. Okay, I'll go back. Not quite sure if I'm ready for a true test of my skills against Ren quite yet, but I'll humor her. You're on, let's do this. For the cat girl, wondering if she's still staring at me. By the way, this is Maya, senior on the girls' basketball team. Hey, nice to meet ya. She pitched her fist toward me for a fist bump. Respond by bumping fists with hers. Can't wait to see what you're made of, Nyan. Want Ren and Sarah tell me you're hot stuff, Nyan. Is that me being racist? Adding the Nyan. I wouldn't go quite that far. We split into two roughly equal groups. As a few other random students, Ren is on the opposing team, and Sarah and Maya are on mine. Good, at least I'm willing to completely depend on my own average fitness versus Ren's superior athleticism. She may be a girl, but Ren is still much more fit than me. Want to make things more interesting, new guy? How about we make a bet? My team wins, you come and check out the martial clubs after school sometime this week, deal? Sure, I don't see the harm in that. What do I get if we win? How about we check out the basketball team instead? We can settle this once and for all. Alright, deal. Wait, both deals in an obligation for me. Don't I get a say in this? But my protest went unheard. Alright, guys. No, we don't usually score in gym, but I want to put Gabe here into the test, so first team to 40 wins. Everybody cool with that? Everybody nods in agreement. I have to have a more serious game to play than usual. I expect that they're just as excited to know my potential as they are to play seriously against Ren. One of the students takes basketball for the initial toss-up. Ren takes the center for their team, and I take that place for mine. We look seriously in each other's eyes with a competitive grin, and ready to act as soon as the ball is in the air. The student drops the ball low, then throws it up into air between us. Now Ren already has me beaten height by an inch or two, but the height at which she jumps astounds me. Drills it down the court and passes back to Ren for a layup, scoring the first 2 points. It's Ren for a tough game. Don't underestimate her. She don't expect you to, but she's one of the best for a reason. Time to put it into high gear then. Here, just a sec. I hype myself up and try to go full beast mode, focusing my attention, ready my muscles, and preparing to win. Competing just takes a different state of mind. It doesn't matter what you call it. Whatever it takes for you to focus yourself on your goal. Channel that focus. I should put myself in the minds of a famous basketball player. Who is it my dad was always talking about again? This is not a basketball player. Stephen Curry? Killing years of the great basketball player Stephen Curry. Few basketball players that openly miss being Christian and makes it a big part of his image. Afraid to let his inspiration be known, and has been quoted as saying, "Can do all Christ who strengthens me." I try to think of something he would say to encourage me to make this game a victory. I never get afraid of big moments. I get butterflies. I get nervous and anxious, but I These are all good signs that I'm ready for the moment. That's right, even if I'm nervous about my actions while playing, they're just signs of adrenaline. It's just wisdom and determined myself to focus on my shooting. Focus I did, because my next 3 baskets were nothing but net lucky. We keep at a decent pace for the rest of the match. Everyone's spirit still seems into it. Ren is clearly the MVP of the opposing team, as I suspected, but the rest of them are certainly giving their all as well. Our team seems a bit more balanced, especially with Mai on board. As we get into 30-point range, seems like the game is going to be neck and neck. I steal the ball from the opposing team and speed past Older, only to see Ren changing towards me from the front. If I can make this shot just past her, it'll give us a real advantage, not to mention a good confidence boost. I notice Maya nearing the basket, but she has another student guarding her closely. It might be better to take the shot despite Ren quickly round on me. Ren grins as she continues her forward sprint, and I've got to make a quick choice. What would Stephen Curry do in this situation? Pass it to Maya. Play it safe and pass it to Maya. That way, the pressure is off me so I can focus on dodging this giant dragon girl who's just short of taking me out. I recklessly toss the ball to Maya despite the opposing team member covering her position. Unfortunately, this leads to a bad throw and the opposing team member ends up stealing and scoring because of it. Meanwhile, Ren continues her forward momentum, eager to stop me from taking action. I don't know what she's thinking, but she's getting awfully close to hitting me. And then smack! Ren's body collides with mine, sending me flying backward onto my rear and sliding me back further another few feet. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get a little too enthusiastic and lose my sense of depth. Ren continues over to me and offers a hand to help me back up. I graciously accept the offer. We gave it our all, but the end didn't manage to beat Ren's team. Somehow, I think if I was in a better mindset, we could have managed to do it. No use dwelling on it, however. It's just a game after all. Stand back with Ren's help. Sarah and Maya jog over to give their 2 cents on the game. So close, we're so close. Not close enough. Really put the pressure on you, huh? It's a good team for sure. I don't have any regrets about how we played, and it really pushed us all to the max. Yeah, I think I got a lot out of that. Win or lose, it was a good game all around. I think so too. But your loss means you've got to do a martial arts club practice tomorrow. Maybe we can teach you not to freeze up when someone bigger than you is rushing towards you. Ren's self-awareness of the crashing incident makes me believe that she meant to tackle me on purpose. Don't take it personally, Nyan. I'd hesitate in the face of Ren. If you practice a bit more, I'm sure you can still make the basketball team if you end up not liking the martial arts club, Nyan. Maya's right. Maybe I just need to toughen up a bit. Regardless, a bet is a bet, even if I didn't really get a say in it. We'll see. I still haven't made up my mind either way. My blood is already pumping from this game, so it'd be a shame to lose this momentum now. That's the spirit. I'll see you there tomorrow then, great. Taps my back hard, her tail slamming against the ground as her hand connects to my back, almost staggering me a bit. Sarah, Ren, and Maya walk away towards their locker room while I try and regain my balance from Ren's blow. By that time, the bell rings and the rest of us hurry to the locker rooms to change before we are late for our next class. After the bell rings, Sister Talia reminds me to pick out a book from the library so I can get started on that assignment. I'm greeted with the familiar sound of silence as I arrive despite the chatter in the hallway. I don't see anyone behind the main counter. Was I wrong about my assumption about someone being on the staff after school? No matter, I can find my way around the library just fine. It might become a problem when I need to check out, however. Continuing my survey of the library, I hear a bunch of tapping and clicking in the other direction. I spy a familiar pair of shiny blue antennae from behind a chair. Clover is sitting in a library chair in front of an elaborate setup. Yay, more slime girl! Sweet. dual monitor setup in a library. I feel that means she must have taken a monitor from another PC. The other computers. Clover is, which kind of based, not gonna lie. Clover is sitting back in a library in front of an elaborate setup. Attention is focused on the game she's playing. I wonder if the schools know what actually she's using the computer for, if they even care. I feel drawn to what she's up to. I haven't played many games recently, but I can see her opinion for something new. Hey, back at me, Clover greets me with a short wave. Yo, what are you up to? Saving the world from the powers of darkness? That more. Chloe shoulders at her monitors. The main one hosts the main game she appears to be playing. The other is showing multiple smaller windows filled with flashy graphics. Some of them even appear to be playing themselves. Sarah was right this morning. Clover really is an intense gamer. This setup is pretty impressive considering you're only using the school's computers. Yeah, I had to do some tweaking to get it to work, but I need a screen for each of my monitors back at home. Way I can multitask here at school until my dad comes and picks me up. You don't just take a bus? Not very fond of public transportation, but it's mostly impatience. Get more done if I start gaming here, besides my dad isn't usually home until late. So what are you actually playing? Looks like that final 14th Nights game I've seen some trailers for? Yeah, I'm getting ready for the new expansion that'll be coming out in December. Pre-expansion patch events are dropping, so I need the corner of the market on materials. And all the other windows you have up? Most of those are emoted in windows to my home PC running mobile game emulators using bots to play gacha games. I think I understood at least half of that. Mobile games are just phone games. Emulators, I guess, simulate a phone on a computer. And gachas are those games where you use in-game currency or real money to collect characters to do battle for you. Sounds complicated. Not at once everything is set up. I usually focus on one game at a time and let these bad boys go in the background farming for XP or evolution materials. More power to you then. Most of that is over my head, but I do game enough that I get the concepts. Only used to games where XP is awarded by direct fighting. Seems like an overcomplication to grind XP as an item, then assign the items to a character, although I see the benefits too. It's clear that she's an MMO and gacha addict though. From what Sarah told me before, she's lucky that she's naturally smart, or her brain would probably be mush right by now. Anyways, was that an insult about her being a slime, you bastard? Saying her brain is mush? This guy. Anyway, I should get the book for the assignment I came for in the first place. I guess you haven't read yours despite being called out this morning. You would be correct. Guess I'll figure out what I want on my own. Nice talking to you. See you around. Laters. Clover briefly waves as she spins back in her chair towards the computers. Nothing seems to phase her concentration when she's gaming, I guess. Right, now I should grab a book for my assignment. I lose myself in thought for a bit, trying to decide which one to pick. We finally touched the slime girl. I'm happy. I guess I'm probably going with the other two. And that would probably... So... I imagine this is most of the demo. Probably meet, like, the other two. Like, whatever, and that probably would be the end of the demo. So I think we'll probably call it, actually, then. I'll leave this screen on the background with wrap up. So, thoughts. So I like the art. They obviously did, and the character designs I especially like. There's a lot of them I like. Bunny Girl was really nice. She was really cute. Of course, I like the Slime Girl. Slime Girl is Pog. Slime Girl is best. Best girl in this, obviously. Clover, yeah, that's right. So, it's interesting. Okay, hold on, let me just check. Yeah, I'm guessing there's a lot, actually probably a lot left. Eh. Okay, yeah. So this person obviously put a lot. This is obviously a passion project. This feels like, which, you know, I respect that very much so. You know, it's kind of like more power to them. And they obviously did thought they're trying to do like expression of the monster girl as like, I'm guessing, offspring of the Nephilim, which appear in, let's see, I turn on the actual entry on it. Nephilim considered to be either half angel, half man, or children born of powerful and mighty men like rulers and kings. As far as what they actually are, nobody truly knows. Apocrypha like the Book of Enoch suggests that they are the children of angels and mankind. Biblical scholars usually understand them to be the children of rulers and kings. Whatever they are, their origin are as mysterious as monster people themselves. So are they... Does it not have a... Huh. So I guess they're trying to do it that maybe like sense of Nephilim or whatever, and it's going through like angel route. Which makes sense what they're trying to do. And I guess I do like the conceit of you having these like isolated communities of monster people that are like staying hidden or whatever, and that they get discovered in fixies and sick with the rise of satellite imaging from space and picking up on these settlements and stuff like that. So it's an interesting way of going on it. I kind of like for doing it. You know, you know, kind of moving on to some horses in the room, or not horses in the room, elephants in the room. Why did I say horses in the room? Serving as elephant in the room. Okay, so that immediately thing with the spit up or whatever, and I guess they were trying because it is a thing that there were a lot of like clergy of various denominations that were involved in civil rights movements in the 60s. So it's that the dev is making that as far as with the monster folk, as like trying to do that factor in that in terms of how they would go and to allow for the setting in the game that monster people being allowed in or whatever, which I guess makes sense, and that would, you know, that is a thing. So it's one of those, okay, I'll allow it. I'll say this music is nice. Okay, on the music. Here on the track. I guess part of it, this is a very, I guess I'm a bit one of the main character, I don't really like him much. I'm gonna be honest. He's very he's very milquetoast, but not in a good, that's the expression I'm thinking of. And in a bit of a, he has way too much of a goody two shoes, which I know is part of, you have to kind of like, for a sim like this your MC has to be a bit kind of has to be a bit bland enough for you to kind of like self-insert a bit enough for the player. But so, and there's stuff where obviously they're trying to develop kind of like a personality bit on the MC, but I don't know, he comes across way too strong in a lot of stuff. Like personality wise, like, you give an example of what I'm thinking of. The fact that as the introduction for himself, he includes the fighting thing. So you're at a new school, you're at a high school, you left your previous school because you got a fight, which was a crappy situation, you know, and that obviously he acted rightly in that. But you're leaving. But I mean, obviously, but the other students you're meeting, they don't know for sure that that's, well, he says he got in a fight. He says the others were doing or whatever, but you don't know. You've just met this person, and all you know is they're moving this. They're going to this school that's 3 hours away because they got in a fight at their old school. They're saying they didn't start it. That's still one, even assuming they fully believe or whatever, that's kind of a lot to take in for your initial thing or whatever. You could have said, well, I was having some difficulty, we just kind of didn't feel right for me or stuff like that, so we're moving on. This would be a better fit. Something kind of generic or whatever. That seriously baffles me. I feel that's kind of like the character or whatever. And there's some stuff in the dialogue it feels very... It's not so much the religious, not so specifically really, but very from a very Roman Catholic perspective or whatever. That inherently, that's not what I find somewhat off-putting about the dialogue. It's that it feels very stilted and like formal or whatever in a weird, and almost like in a way that almost kind of feels like it's opening itself up to parody very quickly. Like he meets, so there's talking to Father John in the church or whatever, as has Arya, the Daywalker has. I'm still thinking of the South part just every time I say Daywalker. I know it's coming like more from like Blade and stuff like that, but I still think of Daywalker. Anyway. But, you know, she leaves after it, and so Father John just met this like new student, and he lets on or whatever that he's like that she's not interested or whatever, and as after all is, and immediately like kind of just says whatever, she's not very, you know, she's not really religious or whatever, but then immediately like going to someone that he just met that day. Because even for So even knowing people that are very... So as someone that has known people, like, for, that has known people, that knows, is known and knows people that are more, that are, like, I'll use the term religious. Even though I don't really like to, but I'll go ahead and use that just for simplicity's sake. That still feels weird. That doesn't feel natural at all. I know there's split, but it's still kind of like, it's the fact that it's someone they just met, just feel that student, this kid that bro just met, and you're instantly going to think like, and then the kid kind of like instantly is like, the MC kind of like adopts it or whatever. It's like, what? It's literally like assume a lot very quickly on like people and stuff like that. It's just rather off-putting. This manner. Once again, it's not necessarily, it's not really the religious aspect or whatever, as I'm trying to say this, that it's how he goes about it. Where it's this very like over the top, like I said, using the example of like the almost the set, hi, my name is Gabe. I'm going this new school because I got in a fight in my last school. I did start. Again, he was doing the right thing. And of course he could explain that, but that's like, you would explain that like later, you know? Not in your first meeting with this new school or whatever to other people or whatever. You can explain like later on in detail when they like specifically, like if you did the more generic answer like issues or whatever, and that this, you can explain, so here's what happened. Because even they realize is like, I better have a quick way of saying this or whatever. No, that's not really something you want to... Anyway. So, it's... There's a lot of things, it feels rather stiff on, like, with how the main character and, like, some of the other characters do speak or whatever. So I could see the writing feels it needs some work. So I'm gonna go to make it feel more natural. But I once, and I guess the thing that the main thing I'm kind of worried is I'm trying to figure out, as far as like, who is this for? Which I guess the thing is, would be, I mean, the answer would be, I guess, because this wouldn't just be, this wouldn't just be Christians that want to play let's see, it would have to go it wouldn't just, how to put this delicately, it wouldn't just be for like Christian gamers that want to play a dating sim with monster girls in it, that is trying to do on, like, you know, the wholesome, you know, in the sincerest way, which I respect that, and the person is honestly, like, they put a lot of effort and passion in that. I mean, you can tell by the art, stuff like that. This is not just, you know, a cash grab or whatever, which I appreciate that. And even the way the codex or whatever, they put a lot of thought into it. And like lore stuff. For what this is, they're obviously putting in a lot of heart and word into it. And I very much appreciate that, and more power to them on that. You know, and I hope that the final result is good. You know, and it's successful. So it's just that it I'm trying to figure this is somewhat feels like if it's trying to do it in like almost like is it trying to maybe be somewhat instructional material on for what a Roman Catholic for Roman Catholicism. That's the part that's confusing me. There's the codex that has very like detail that's on like things like communion and so forth. So I guess it's it was like, I guess being made maybe for which and some of the sections or whatever, it feels very much like has somewhat of a very much like gospel track type feeling to it. Which is maybe why part of like sometimes some of the dialect feels a bit like a bit wooden in parts. Which, so it's part evangelistic in one way, but for Roman Catholicism, and then it's okay. Let me try. So the person that this feels would be made for or the potential obvious is be someone that wants to play, obviously, a dating sim with monster girls that obviously isn't that, you know, doesn't need sex or violence in it. You know, that's obviously there's definitely a market for that, or doesn't, you know, and not even all visual novels have like need to have sex and violence or whatever. There's plenty that, you know, I've done a number of those that really. I did an alpaca dating sim, okay? So there's plenty out there that but so people that want that, and you know, like the wholesome angle, but also are either also Roman Catholic specifically, or is someone that does not find the very strong, almost like evangelistic tone for Roman Catholicism, as long as they don't find that doesn't find that off-putting in their monster girl dating sim. So, which is obviously even for, which isn't even going to be for Roman Catholic monster girl dating sim fans, isn't necessarily going, might not even apply to them. So, and then obviously there's gonna be that's so. I mean, it's made for some group of people that definitely. And I mean, obviously, there's a target. I feel like some of that may not be quite 100% intentional, is the thing. And obviously, I don't want the person to like compromise their artistic vision or whatever for the game just to like increase marketability, you know. Because then it might be the thing for like no one. But well, I'm struggling to try to figure the anyway. But I respect the hustle. You know, I don't think I would return to this or stream it. You know, I hope there's some of the dialogue against, and honestly, this is the thing, and I think there's even a little bit more of the demo or whatever, that there should be a bit more of the demo, and maybe, but the central part is the monster girls and the dating, okay? You can't include the other and the lore and the stuff like that, but you know, the thing is the characters that you meet and talk with and get to know or whatever, and these monster girls or whatever, that's going to be your central point and the things that's going to draw you in. You know, seeing the artwork and all this stuff, you know, but I'm getting more main character and their inner monologue and that. So there is an idea here which could be good, you know, and like, once again, I like the artwork. It's really nice. I like it. There's some really nice character designs and character work. Backgrounds are nice, like this one. But it needs some work, and I hope they get some, just to make some dialogue more natural sounding. I'm not necessarily saying, I'm not saying you need to like tone down the Christian symbol or stuff like that. I'm not saying that. It just needs to sound less wooden and artificial, whatever. If it's something like because even people that are like really into it or whatever and stuff are very don't necessarily talk like this. I mean, there are some, but you know, and like, and the main character is saying, going through like the 7 deadly sins or whatever, like, listen, high school dude, I don't deal much with lust or whatever. Who you lying to, bro? Stop. Anyway, bro, once the hormones hit, man, you feel it, especially nice gust of wind or something like that. I tell you, God. So either they haven't hit for him yet or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. So as I get this, it's Elite Spirits. There's stuff here that I like. You know, there's some structural skeletal work or whatever, a lot to work with. That, but, and obviously this is just a demo, so I tweak some writing. We'll get someone to more natural sounding, more on the monster girls, less of the main character. You know, I don't need to hear everything in their inner monologue constantly. Or at least can I hear it in the context of talking to the monster girls more? If that's making sense. But so there's potential. There's potential here. So, but if you'll enjoy this, and I hope you'll have a lovely night or day. So thank you, and I will see you all next time.